I got to tell you, I was tempted to title today's service and sermon, Celebrating Other People's Holidays. Although we Unitarian Universalists have a long and rich history and tradition of our own, we do not really have a holiday that is uniquely UU to celebrate this time of year. In past centuries, when many of our congregations were more Christian-centered in their identities, Christmas felt more like our holiday. Today, at least for many of us, that has become just a distant memory. In more current decades, some Unitarian Universalists created a festival called Chalaka, which, like Kwanzaa, is based on our principles and our shared values. But Chalaka has, never really caught on in a big way. And it has recently actually fallen out of favor because it seems to appropriate too much from the practices of other faiths and groups. So this time of year, we have the freedom to celebrate in many ways, to honor the holidays and the holy days that are happening as they connect to our own spiritual journeys. Each December, it seems to me that we so often simplify and sentimentalize the sacred stories that are at the heart of each of the holidays that we have explored today. And in doing so, I think that we run the risk of missing out on the true power, inspiration, and transformation they may have to offer us in the present moment we find ourselves in today. The bonfires and the feasts and the songs of Yule are not just anxious, superstitious rituals from simple-minded people of long ago. They are an enactment of perhaps the truest form of religion that there is. Religion which identifies the idea of God or goddess with the actual physical and natural forces of our planet and our universe, the elements which make all of life possible. In this time of ever-escalating climate crisis and new administrations that want to deny climate realities, perhaps centering the earth itself as the most holy object of our worship might be crucial in our efforts to realign ourselves to be more harmonious and thoughtful with our natural world. You know, I find that so many people I run across know next to nothing about Hanukkah, other than just like lighting the menorah or spinning dreidels or maybe that Adam Sandler song. You all heard that Adam Sandler song? The tale of the Maccabees is a story about rebuilding and restoring what is most sacred in our lives after it has been defiled and destroyed. Now, I don't know about you, but much of what I hold to be most sacred, the values of compassion, community, and liberation, feel like they are being defiled and destroyed right now as the politics of our nation move radically over the edge. Hanukkah assures us that if we keep the faith, if we refuse to give up and give in to the darkness, the light of hope will not go out, but will be there to guide us in resisting and restoring what has been taken from us. Now, this story, this Hanukkah story, is really complicated for me, particularly during this holiday season, as we witness the horrific death and misery being inflicted on the people of Gaza today. It makes me question if liberation and safety for some can be justified by the dehumanization of others. It makes me wonder how to defend what I hold most dear, who I hold most dear, while not resorting to seeing the world as us versus them. Now, when it comes to complicated, for me, as someone who is identified in this society as white, I am uncertain about even discussing Kwanzaa. Some years ago, my husband worked for Cincinnati Children's Hospital in Ohio. And one December, an employee affinity group at the hospital sponsored a Kwanzaa event. Jim and I were personally invited to come, and so we went, and it was joyous. I was talking afterwards with the two women who led the group who had sponsored this gathering. One of them told me, I really do not think that white people should celebrate Kwanzaa. It is a holiday created by black people for black people. It is our holiday. The other woman told me, I think everyone should celebrate Kwanzaa. To me, these values are universal, and this is a chance to learn to see them through the lens of African and African American people and their history and community. Now, I really have respect for both of these people's points of view, and so I try to be very mindful about them. Perhaps, at least for me, as a white guy from Appalachia, the best way to honor Kwanzaa starts with just openly witnessing the incredible beauty and spirit of that woman named Lovely, who we just saw singing that Kwanzaa song. Encountering her as both a full human being, just like me, and also at the very same time as an empowered black woman with her own unique identity, culture, and experience that is very different than my own. Engaging with those amazing values of Kwanzaa, not by immediately trying to translate them into my own experience, but first honoring them as they are expressed by the black people in my life, in their families, and in their lives. I was reading this past week that several large universities, including Harvard and USC and Columbia, have issued warnings this past week to their foreign students, recommending that if they leave the United States over the holidays, they should try to return to this country before January 20th, when the new presidential administration begins. Now, this news brought to mind for me a vital part of the Christmas story that often gets overlooked or forgotten completely. Amid all the lovely songs about the angels and the shepherds and the stars, there is also the role of King Herod in the biblical narrative. Herod was the ruthless leader of Judea. When he heard rumors of the arrival, the birth of a Messiah that might inspire the people to revolt, he was determined to not let that happen. After the events of the Nativity night, Mary, Joseph, and their newborn son were forced to flee the country and take refuge in Egypt to escape death and persecution. For Christians, this means that God was born into human form and almost immediately became a refugee. A poignant image and identity to consider as promises of mass deportations of immigrants weigh on us all this very week. As I said earlier, this can be a time of year when we can be quick to simplify and sentimentalize the different holiday occasions as they arrive. Amid all of the parties and the carols, the lights, the food, and the gift-giving, We can lose sight of the deeper inspirations that Yule, Hanukkah, Christmas, and Kwanzaa have to offer us. Each year at this time, we are invited to humbly behold the miracle of the changing seasons as it happens in the heavens above us and on the earth around us, and to celebrate our sacred connections to all that truly sustains our lives. We are encouraged to remember that our faith in one another and in the goodness and godness beyond us is what will restore what has been destroyed and allow us to find our way together. We are called to honor the values of communities of people of many backgrounds and recommit ourselves to affirming that while these values are universal, they are experienced by others in their own unique and holy ways. And perhaps most important, we are asked to never forget that new hope is always being born among us, often in unexpected places, often on cold nights. And to know that even when things look cold and dark and bleak, the shining star that lights our way to love and peace and compassion can and will always reappear. This Tuesday evening at 5 o'clock, we will gather for our Christmas Eve service here at All Peoples. I hope that you and your family can join us. Wherever your life takes you this coming week, whatever ways that you find to celebrate, may the spirit and the message and the truths of the holidays that are happening surround you and inspire you. May they bring you new hope for all our days to come. Amen.